If you are not a good relator, you don't relate well, you are part of the problem of the world. The problem of the world is the problem of relationship.
So, what's one thing you want me to know to carry along in my relationships with friends, family, and marriage in general? What's one important thing you advise me to hold dear or hold well?
How would you
Bring sense into that.
explain that kind of situation to someone who is also a believer but struggles to have those things that you have?
Or a believer that has a very good relationship with God,
But
but struggles to be
have
financially buoyant, happy, things
have
like that.
relationships that are thriving, basically.
If you engage the principle of God, there is an aspect of the person of God that makes you to last longer than you engaging the principles. Relationship transpires every aspect of human existence. In the light of what you're saying, I want to
Daddy,
find
how
out.
many girlfriends? Okay.
It's quite exciting to have everyone joining in on this episode this evening. I believe it's going to be exciting. It's going to be enriching. You are going to have something to take home today. Thank you for joining me. I have with me on this platform this evening my wonderful, adorable daughters. They will be joining me on this episode, and I believe they'll be asking questions, and I believe those questions will receive answers. Thank you. Please introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Toluwani and I'm excited to be here. It's such an honor.
Hello, everyone. My name is Timilehin, and I'm so excited to be with you today.
I would strongly appreciate if you can just ensure that you subscribe and you share. Okay.
Just don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.
That's all that.
Please don't forget to like. Please don't forget to subscribe, like, and share. It will help us to reach more people. Thank you very much. We'll continue.
All right, guys. So I know this is a new face. Don't be surprised. This is a new face. As you all know, I'm my father's daughter, second daughter, by the way. So today I'll be taking over the show. It's not my dad this time around, so you have me. So today, this episode is going to be a conversational one. My sister and I have questions here to be asking my dad today. And yeah, that we have questions that will help each and every one of us answer some particular areas of our relationships or our marriages. And then my dad will be here to answer those questions for each and every one of you here. So stay tuned and enjoy. Over to my elder sister for the questions. So Toluwani, over to you. You can start the questioning.
We have a couple of questions, like Timilehin said. So the first question I'm going to be asking is, what is the most important lesson you've learned about relationship in your lifetime?
The most important lesson I've learned about relationship is that it's the most important aspect of human existence. It's so dear and important to God. He instituted it because it's the most important thing to God. So the relationship is relationship transpires every aspect of human existence. In every area, be it family, be it social, be it at work, be it with friends, every area of our lives, even in a nation, it has to be, it's relationship prone. So it's very important. It affects every area of our existence.
So the next question, Daddy, how do you prioritize communication in your relationships?
Communication is a backbone of relationship. In every area, be it verbal, be it non-verbal, because these are two types of communication. It can be verbal or non-verbal. It's a priority because without communication, you won't know what the other person is saying and you won't know how to respond. So God expects us to be excellent communicators. As a result of not communicating well, a lot of relationship has hit the rock and has caused chaos. The way you communicate will depend on how strong or how weak the relationship is going to be. Communication in marriage, particularly, has actually led to a lot of divorce, lack of effective communication. So everyone in relationship must learn how to communicate well. And communication is not effective until whoever you're communicating with is able to receive it in the light of what you're saying.
All right, thank you, Daddy. So, guys, go to university to study mass comm so that you know how to communicate well. Just kidding, just kidding. You know, I'll soon get married. I'll be entering relationships. I'll soon get married and all of that because obviously I'm not smart. So, what's one thing you want me to know to carry along in my relationships and my relationships with friends, family, and marriage in general? What's one important thing you advise me to hold dear or hold well in those aspects?
Okay, what I'm about to say right now can appear so commonly said among people that people often casually say to one another. We say to people, but if depends on how you actually take it, the attitude, your approach, and the way you take it, and how important you take it, will actually determine the events of your life going forward. What I'm going to advise you going forward that is most important thing. However, one thing, you always ask for one thing. Every important truth you receive, every advice that you receive, let it be one thing that you will always allow to find expression in your life. What I would say it's the most important thing to anyone, and particularly to you as my daughter, is for you to develop a strong, intimate, personal relationship with God. It's so important that it will affect every other relationship you will always be confronted with. Without somebody having a strong relationship with God, you won't learn, you won't know how to relate with mankind. The first law, according to scripture, among the two commandments that Jesus Christ gave, is that love the Lord your God. He's talking about your devotion, your commitment, your affection, your personal relationship with God. It's first important before every other relationship will have a footing. Because how you relate with God will determine the strength of your relationship with man. So the most important thing is your relationship with God. Even when every other relationship gives up or fail, you can still have a solace. He is the one that can still encourage, redirect, instruct, and guide you to gain your step and to gain your feet and to gain your direction. So it is very important. I advise everyone what is most important to you in your life, in your relationship work, is to have an intimate, solid relationship with God. A relationship that is so intimate and is like a covenant relationship with God.
So yeah, so now I understand that you said, so the advice you give people and the advice you give us as your daughters is that we should have a strong relationship with God as a result, because of like relationship, in order to like be able to handle our relationships, manage our relationships, and all, having a strong relationship with God. Yeah. So what would you now say? So I have like a very controversial opinion to that. So what would you say about people who on social media, or people that are around us, not even particularly on social media, but you know, there are some people that we see around us that have seemingly good lives, they are living the life, their relationships look perfect. They are not believers, yeah. Their relationships look perfect, everything is working well for them, things are going well, and they just seem very successful, they seem very satisfied, they seem very fulfilled. But we all know that they are not believers. So how would you
And they
now
don't have the kind of relationship I seems to be talking about.
Yes.
Like having
a relationship with God? So like, how would you
Bring sense into that.
explain that kind of situation to someone who is also a believer but struggles to have those things that they have? Do you understand?
Or a believer that has a very good relationship with God,
But
but struggles to be
have
financially buoyant, happy, things
have
like that.
relationships that are thriving, basically.
now taking it from that angle that people often have experiences in life, that does not really mean that they have a personal relationship with God as a priority in their life. And they seems to look successful. There are two things I want you to know. I want you to learn that there is what is called the principle of God and the person of God. What many people who are believers, who seems, especially Christians, seems to have is to have the person of God, and they also have the principles of God. But the people who are not believers have come to appreciate the principles of life, of which most of them emanate from the principles of God, which they diligently and consistently engage, and they get results. The fact that you have an experience with God and you have a personal relationship with God does not mean that if you violate the principle of God, you will be exempted. No. There are principles that must not be violated. As a believer, I can have a very personal encounter and a relationship with God and still remain broke because I don't practice the principle that makes for wealth, which an unbeliever down the street might be practicing. For example, giving. You practice giving, Bible says it will be given back to you. You don't practice it. Even though you worship God, you love God, you praise God, you know you are guaranteed heaven. You can live the rest of your life broke. So there is a principle and there is the person of God. So what I'm saying is that the person of God should also encourage you to engage the principles of God. Thereby you will be living a balanced Christian life. Many people are not living balanced Christian life because they expect God to be responsible for everything. There are things that you are responsible for. There is a God part, there is a man part. So people do God's part for him, which is not.
What would you say is the benefit of having, we now understand that, okay, if you engage in principle and person of God here, that you will live a balanced life, and things will go well, you have great relationships and all, because why, you're engaging in principles of God and you're engaging in the person of God. So looking at in the person of God, what are the benefits of engaging in the person of God? I don't know if you understand.
Okay.
What are the benefits
That
of
makes the
engaging in the
difference.
person of God that helps, now we're focusing on relationships, that helps relationships. So what does
Why
God,
should we have a
why should we have a
with God?
relationship with God in order to
Okay.
build our relationship, in order to build our own personal relationships with others?
It's amazing. The person that instituted that institution called relationship, which I earlier told you that it is dear to his heart, is that he knows how well every party in that relationship emotes, operates, how they think, what the challenges that they have. So he's in the best position to guide us on how we can relate well. When you are able to successfully relate well with God, it makes it easier for you to relate with mankind, particularly in the area of forgiving people, because people will step on your toes, they will offend you, they will disappoint you, they will betray you. It is human. But God is the one who is able to take care of whatever offenses has been done to you, restore, refresh that relationship, and make it better, and even reward you. He is even the one responsible to avenge for you in situations whereby you have been betrayed or you have been cheated. So your relationship with God puts you at an advantage than somebody who just knows and has the principles of God, or probably engages more of the principles of God than you do. So you have all the confidence that you are going to live well. However, if you engage the principle of God, there is an aspect of the person of God that makes you to last longer than you engaging the principles.
Okay.
Wow.
So basically, sorry about that.
Okay.
So basically, you're telling us that if we engage in the person of God, that we build a relationship with God, have a relationship with God. I mean, again, we engage in principles that God has set down for us as humans on earth and everything. So we should, how will I put it? So with those two aspects, yeah, we tend to live a balanced life in our finances, in our relationships, in our business, in our families. Why? Because God is granting us that understanding on how to like manage each relationship, because obviously we don't know the other party, yeah, and it's God that only knows the other party. So God will grant us the wisdom in order to relate to people effectively. So
As a matter of fact, if you want to consider your relationship, if you are not a good relator, I mean, you don't relate well, you are part of the problem of the world. The problem of the world is the problem of relationship. So if you are not relating well, you are part of the problem. So your ability to relate well with people and relate with God makes you a solution to the world. So I want to encourage that everyone is expected to learn the art of relating well. And as you learn that art of relating well, you will become more of a solution than the problem.
All right, Daddy. So, how many girlfriends did you have before you married Mommy?
Ooh.
Say the truth or let them be ashamed. Pastor.
In the light of what you're saying, I want to
Daddy,
find
how
out
many girlfriends? Okay.
how many girlfriends.
Yes.
Actually, I can't say, I can't say I really have a particular girlfriend.
Oh, so you
I
were
need-
toasting different girls.
No, that's
Okay, let me rephrase the
okay.
question.
No, let me explain it the way I understand it.
Okay.
Before. Maybe you can ask your question again.
Okay.
I was a young man that feels so excited about myself as handsome.
Words of a player. Beware.
No,
Okay.
because that question is.
Eh.
If I tell you I didn't have any girlfriend, it would be a lie. I had several, but I was never intimately involved with any one of them. There was none of them that I had a close talk or a close.
Daddy, when I say girlfriend, I'm not saying girls that were your friends.
Yes, okay.
What's your human mind knows girlfriend?
they were
as?
dating. Who did you date before?
I
you
didn't
married?
have any.
You didn't date anybody before, Mommy.
Oh, okay. Well, let me say before I gave my life to Christ.
When did you give your life to Christ? At what age?
I gave my life to Christ in 1988.
Daddy, we don't know at what age.
1988 will be at 19
Okay.
because I was born in 1969.
Okay, so how many, back to the question, how many girlfriends did you have?
Like total of in your lifetime.
In my lifetime,
Thank you.
maybe one.
One girlfriend.
Apart from Mommy.
Oh, I'm remembering now.
Man of God.
I had. Okay.
There's somebody
No, because it's over time. So that question is making me to think backwards. 1988, after I think, okay. Oh, I'm remembering. Okay, from when to when?
And then you say
No,
your
your
lifetime.
lifetime.
In my lifetime.
Yes, at least before Mommy.
Oh, before her. In secondary school, I had a friend after we go to this literary and debating society. You guys are laughing.
Because I'm asking for friend, I'm asking for girlfriend. Somebody
It was
that
my
you
girlfriend.
like.
I liked her. And we met at a debating society program.
Okay.
And I liked her, but we were never close. We were never close. It was friendship at a distance. It was a friendship at a distance. We were never close. So I won't consider that as an intimate girlfriend. But the one I consider as an intimate girlfriend was,
What is
No.
your meaning of intimate girlfriend?
I mean, somebody you had a plan to marry.
Okay.
Somebody you had a plan to spend your life with. I never had any.
Okay.
Why?
Because I found out that I wasn't ready.
When did you know you were ready?
I discovered I was ready after reading a book.
What book did you read?
The book is The Total Man by Dan Benson. That book changed my life. Because he actually gave me a picture of what a matured man should look like.
Before
He
marriage.
gave me the full foundation for a successful, a total man. So when I discovered I had an inclination of those potentials, that was when I decided, yes, I was ready.
Okay, who gave you the book? Who suggested the book? How did you get it?
I don't know how no, it was in the library of my fellowship in the university in those days, the University of Lagos. We had the book Total Map by Dan Benson. I'm still looking forward to getting the book again because it actually helped me to find out that every man need a solid foundation of 4 things, of which if any one of them is missing, whatever blocks, it was represented like blocks, 4 blocks. Whatever blocks you add on it is going to nosedive through any of the missing blocks. And that was spiritual, social, mental, and physical. So if any of those 4 blocks were not in place, that means every other thing you are building is going to just find its way to crash through that missing link. So I looked at my life and I found out that spiritually, I was having a relationship with God, working with God. Physically, I feel I'm matured enough. Mentally, I was prepared to take responsibility. And socially, I make myself relevant. And those formed the basis, and I told God I was ready. As a matter of fact, there was a time I was going to try to begin to see. And I discovered that everything I was thinking was about a woman all the time as a believer and as a leader of a fellowship. I was just thinking about women. I had to tell God, God, I'm not ready. Immediately I told God I wasn't ready. Every desire and the longing and the pressure of entering into a relationship just disappeared. So by the time it disappeared, and when I got to a particular age and I said, okay, particular time of my school in those days, and I said, God, I'm ready. And good enough, I was fortunate to now have a special preference for some sisters in the fellowship. You're laughing. From sisters in the fellowship, and I started looking. I found a particular sister. She was very clean. You go to her room, she's prim and
Why
proper.
are you going to a room?
We go visiting.
What type of visit?
Go
Why are you going
fellowship.
to your...
As a member of the fellowship, we have to go visitation.
Okay, so if I tell you my fellowship member
Yes.
came to visit me in my hostel and he's a guy,
Of-
you will not be angry.
Listen, there is no problem until that you lose regard from the basic principles of developing relationship. If you don't have the guide of basics in a relationship, there's a tendency you're going to miss something out of the way. If I have a friend and it's only between you and I, nobody can come in between us. It can be dangerous. I discovered that the best way to find a friend is making sure that there are no strings attached. You just know the person on a platonic level. That means I will see you, the way you relate, the way you do things, without having, the moment you now discuss that we want to be closed, certain things will be hidden in that relationship. But when we are talking generally, we're moving, we're behaving, we're looking at, we're going out, we're doing things together as members, everybody will behave themselves. But the moment we say we are going out, people stop behaving their real self. They start pretending. So that's the risk. So you make a choice, a decision, when you see the person at a distance without any commitment. The moment there is a commitment, there is likelihood of pretense. That's what I mean by there are certain guiding principles. So I started looking, I started observing, and because I don't want to be tempted in my later life, so I wanted to make a choice for myself. And I tell God, because God stopped choosing for man, he said, whosoever findeth a wife findeth a good thing and obtain favor from the Lord. So I decided I made a personal decision that I was going to look, I was going to tell God what I wanted and ask God, if you give an approval for this, I'm going to go ahead with it. But God, if you don't give an approval, I'm going to drop it. It's going to sink there at that moment. So I started talking to God. I looked, I like this sister. But one day, I was just going inside their hostel. They are all of residents, and I just saw her with another brother, and it was like they were going for a dinner. Oh Lord! Immediately they were going. Oh, it was a shocker of an experience, and he's a brother. I just lost my guard, and I started looking elsewhere. And unfortunately for me, there was another person fortunately for me, there was another person that I kept looking.
So wait. So there was one person you were eyeing in the fellowship.
Yes.
But the person left you for another guy.
He didn't leave me because
the person did not know now.
Okay, so
I was just observing, I was just communicating and relating. But he had a special place in my heart.
Okay, Daddy. So what you're saying now is that you only had one girlfriend.
He has never answered that.
Yeah, he has.
That's debate.
So
that's not even intimate.
There was no intimacy.
So
it was just like it was just the nature of a girl, a friend,
attraction,
like a friend that people's. I did. To your amazement, I did Mr.
Yeah,
like yes, that I was wearing swimming trunk to parade, and okay, now don't put that in the video. So it was from there that encounter came, and we became friends. And we started talking about it.
All right then.
And one thing I want to say is that if you're going to choose a friend, you need to find the right place to choose a friend. It's very important. The place you find your friend from is very important. You find your friend from a beer parlor, it can be dangerous. There might be a lot of things that must.
Some people know that you don't.
You find your place.
Don't say that. Shall I tell you why? Because sometimes, if you find somebody in a beer parlor, they might not just be there because they are drinking. Some people can go to a beer parlor just to sit down and observe. Or maybe they're undercover doing something or doing a research. So if you find somebody at a beer parlor, it doesn't particularly
It's not written on marble. I'm not saying particularly that.
Okay.
There are some people that find themselves in a party and they end up and they get married happily. You see, many a times, life is not static. Life is dynamic. And I'm going to tell you something about what you should look out for in any relationship, and which was one of the things that I also saw in that book. And it was about change. And the person I eventually decided I was going to marry, happened to be somebody who was always standing up for every altar call in the fellowship. We are the big brothers. We actually are the one that will look at everybody to go and follow up and to go and direct them to where to go. Every altar call concerning any challenge and the message that was preached, the person happens to be standing up to desire a change. That happened to be one of the criteria that I needed in the choice of a relationship.
In church,
naturally, it will look like this person is weak. This person is always backsliding. This person is always has no solid Christian life. But that is not the case. Anybody that is willing to change at the need for a change is actually a maturing person. But if you are already fully made and it's like there's no change, you will have a lot of challenges in marriage, because there will be need for you to be flexible to make adjustments as God would desire and demand of you. So look out for somebody who is desirous of a change. If you see the person you want to marry now and looks like a perfect person, you are misguided. It's not going to be like that forever. Like a woman, she's going to change physically. She's going to change the moment she's exposed to other level of knowledge and information. So you're making a decision based on how a man is and you think is perfect. See that person as changing all the time or needing to change. It's very important.
Okay. All right. So I guess this change and knowing how to pick somebody, knowing who is for you, or knowing how to identify a partner, basically. Let's start it from, okay, how do you, how many girlfriends did you have? So you say you didn't have any. You didn't have any, but you had friends that were girls.
Yeah.
Obviously, everybody would have. Okay, and you also, when you now decided to get married, you had several prospects and all.
When I decided I was going to marry.
So let's not overestimate.
Okay.
Overestimate.
No, I just wanted to understand.
Okay.
So I want to now ask one question.
Okay.
Okay, so now that we understand that, we're going to go to the next question. I think it's also it's also like a support question. So how did you know mommy was the one? Your
Okay.
wife.
Okay.
I don't know, your wife was the one.
Really, it's always peculiar to different people. The way you know who your spouse is going to be is peculiar to different people because God makes it unique to you. So the way I met my wife might not be the same way you will meet your wife. My own experience was just like I happened to know this lady. We're in the same fellowship, we're in the same department in school, because I encourage that let the person you're going to marry be somebody, not in all cases, be somebody you know very well over time, not just suddenly entering into a relationship, whom you have been able to assess their lifestyle. So this person just happened to be somebody that comes in my space most of the time. But we happen to be the best of enemies. We're never agreeing